they'll be able to view. So we're all set, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So I'm going to call this meeting to order, Applefest Advisory Committee at 6:03 p.m. First item is the approval of the agenda. If I can get a mover and a seconder for that. Emily and Bruce. So we have a motion to approve the agenda of the June 23rd, 2021 meeting of the Applefest Advisory Committee. All those are we allowed to vote by?
Yeah, you can just raise
in these
hands,
meetings? Yeah, just raise your hand if you're in favor. Okay, we're good. And then any declarations of pecuniary interest from anyone? I don't see anyone. Approval of the minutes. I need a mover and a seconder for that motion. Anybody? Sherry? Bruce? All in favor? Opposed? Anyone? No. So that's carried. And we have no delegations, and the next is business. And the only topic we have is the feasibility of the 2021 event. Thanks for coming, everyone. You know, it's been a hard year, right? Trying to figure out what we're going to do. I'm wondering, maybe before the committee does any chatting, maybe staff can kind of, if, you know, the three of you here, Ben, Jim, and Jim, whether you're able to kind of give us an idea on your thoughts as far as whether we could even proceed, even if this committee wanted to, what your thoughts are on it, so that we can kind of, I think we kind of have to make a decision at this point, as much as we probably don't want to, but did you guys have anything that you can throw in, give us some advice? Jim, you want to start? Jim Smith?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, right now they're looking at opening up to step 2 early or late the last day of June right now. So I'm not sure where step 3, they say 21 days after that would be the middle to end of July. That would leave the month of August to step up and get things ready. I'm not sure. We're looking at mid-September. Is that right for the Applefest?
Approximately, yeah.
Ish.
Yep.
I would really like to see it go ahead. We just need to prepare a lot more with distancing and with preparations, I guess, for keeping the spacing as well as hand sanitizing out there as well. So it's just going to be a lot more. I know a lot of other things are looking at opening up in August. So I would like to see it go forward. Just myself personally.
Yeah.
As long as we do a lot of prep work, that's all.
Do you know of any other places that have festivals such as this that are looking to run?
The only ones I know right now is Mossport's looking at putting on their NASCAR race weekend on the 3rd and 4th of September. So then that's full of spectators. That's the one I know about right now. I didn't check at the CNE. I didn't check any other place yet. So.
Yeah. Jim, did you have more to add to that?
Well, I know that's my question, is I know right now, you know, everything was canceled from like all the fairs. I know the CNE was canceled months ago. So I was just wondering if there was any other town that was holding a festival that, you know, you could almost look at and see what they're doing. I know, you know, stage 3 is coming. We know that, but unfortunately, as normal, there's a lot of gray areas. They did not give us any numbers. You know, like I know for the arena, I'm looking at putting the ice in and having us going right after Labor Day, like we do normally, the last couple of years at least. And You know, again, I don't know what the numbers are going to be like. I think we'll be fine for players and whatnot. I just don't know how many spectators they'll allow.
Yeah. Ben, did you have anything to add from your perspective?
I guess so. Everything I've heard of, fall fairs, summer fairs, everything's off locally. No community's having a fair this year or any kind of festival. Now, in saying that, I think there's definite alternatives that this event could offer. Like if you look at Port Hope for Canada Day, they're doing some really creative stuff. They're doing like yoga in the park. You know, they're going to be able to have a certain amount of instructors instructing a certain amount of people. They're doing a pancake breakfast where you pre-order your pancakes, you go to the designated spot, you pick them up, and then you sit in the park and eat them with your family of 4 or your 4 people at your table. So, you know, it's not, I guess what the committee has to do is wrap your head around, do you want to do something very different and something COVID friendly that is possible, that is doable? There's thousands of different things we can do in person. It's just whether do you want to put all that planning and time and work in place for something that doesn't serve as many people as you're used to.
Yeah.
And then my other thought is governments are supposed to be like the leaders of all this. And if we try to push an event through, how's that look? You know, but those are my couple of my thoughts. I think there is ways we can do this, you know, with background ambiance music downtown, whatever you guys decide. It just won't be anything close to the same as
I guess my other worry too is one thing I hear constantly from everybody, residents anyways, is people from out of town coming in. This fair does that.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to have to try to sell that to all the people that don't want out of towners coming.
Yeah.
and
And,
even
and my concern too is that if there aren't a lot of fairs going on and Brighton decides to
There's
do
none.
something, are we going to get everybody coming here?
And that's
I'm
exactly
really,
it.
I'm really stuck between, if we can't do Applefest like Applefest, we're an Applefest committee, that's all we should be doing. And between, hey, is there something we can do, just some music in the park and some, you know, a few other little things. And that's my dilemma, and whether or not as, you know, our committee along with the community events committee, could we put together some local sort of thing where we're doing that as a sort of a subcommittee? That would be maybe an option, but I would like to hear from Sherry and Bruce and Emily as well. Just let us know your thoughts, and we kind of have to just talk this out and figure out, at the end of the day, I think we need to make a decision soon, and just live with it, but we need to all be able to put our 2 cents worth in. Why don't you start, Bruce?
Yeah, I know at one point we talked about doing a Brighton only event. I know that's a lot of work, you know, with wristbands, you know, book ahead, you prove you're from Brighton. You know, I was still hoping, I guess, that we could go ahead with something like that in King Edward Park, where you could have barriers or fences and control the number of people and who comes in. I know that's a lot of work for people. For my end, the entertainment end, I could make that work with just Brighton entertainers,
Yeah.
solos, duos, you know, not big groups. The only event I heard that's happening in the area is because I'm performing at, is in Consacon. A friend of mine's putting on a Porch Fest, and he's got like 20 groups that are going to be spread around Consacon and different properties, performing different porches and patios. He was hoping in the evening, if numbers and rules allow, to have something in the park in Consacon, a concert, but he knows that's maybe iffy. But I think he'll make the Porch Fest run, because people, you know, just bring their own chairs to wherever they're sitting and they can social distance. And
Yeah.
and by that time, the numbers, I think, will allow for a certain number outside. Like in stage 3, I was looking at it earlier today, and it said it didn't really give a number, like
No,
Jim
it doesn't.
said. It just kind of said outdoor and indoor events can happen, but without a number, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to plan now. It comes September and they say, well, the number's 50 or it's 100. Is that too late to try to make that work?
Yeah, because right now indoors, you're allowed 5 people.
Yeah, and then it's going
Stage
up.
2, you're 10.
What's it go? It's
You know.
going up to. What's it going up to outside in stage 2? I didn't bring
25 outside.
25.
25.
25, so
So you'd hope stage 3 would be maybe 100, but you don't know.
that's the problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
We still have a lot
that's
of
the problem.
unknowns.
A lot of
Bruce, I do like the idea of these porch concerts, and if residents even want to do it, like, I mean, as a municipality, maybe something we can't do, but you know what I mean? If residents want to do that and follow the rules, I think still it's a cool idea, right?
Yeah.
If when we're able to, if we can't do something as a group.
No, last year, remember, I tried to do a porch
Yeah.
thing and the numbers didn't allow it. They changed the rules. I mean, I'd rather do something in the park with music,
Mhm.
but if we're going the park route, if not, I guess I could look at finding some people to host porch things. I don't know if it would come under the umbrella of Applefest or it would just be Brighton Porch Fest. It's
Yeah.
the Consicon one's the week before Applefest.
Oh, okay.
But I think sorry.
Could we do 2 locations in Brighton?
Oh, you'd
So
have
that,
to do.
if
you
we
have to-
if we're only allowed, so if you kind of just put out, say you're allowed 30 people or 50 people, if that's what they're going to allow. So if you had it in the park downtown and then we had one down at King Edward, then that way we kind of can get more people involved in things, because unfortunately, yes, it's going to suck if we end up having to cancel it. But if we can at least hold something, then we have 2 locations. It's not like a bunch of different porches. It's giving a little bit more instead of a little bit, because it's like, how do you draw certain numbers for people to go? And on top of it, how do we control who's coming in and out of town to come to this? Like, are we going to have the help and the manpower to watch every direction coming into Brighton? Like, that's the biggest thing. As much as we want out of towners to come in, how do we stop out of towners from coming?
And that's the question. If we plan something, are we going to end up with a big headache and having to, Applefest is known to have 5,000 to 10,000 people, right? There's no way we're going to be at that. Certain years, certainly it's higher and other years it's lower, but this is the issue that we're looking at, and we're never going to be allowed that amount. So is it worth it for us to put on anything? We should be looking at when we can actually do something, doing something along with maybe the events committee to put together something quickly so that we can at least have some sort of in-town celebration and some music. Emily, did you want to throw your 2 cents worth and maybe let us know where events committee is? And we know they've canceled a lot of things and what your thoughts are as well.
Sorry, I had to jump out there for a second, so I don't know where the conversation went exactly, but yeah,
Well,
community events right now.
I was going to say, we heard from staff a little bit about, the ups and downs. And also we talked about whether or not either we say no, because we can't do Applefest as it is, or we look at doing some smaller events. That's kind of really the conversation.
Yeah, I guess that's what my thought is. As far as community events, Laura, right now we have nothing on the books. We have, Canada Day, as you know, is just a few contests, decorate your house. We're working with the library to do a few things. Other than that, we don't have anything. I was thinking the same thing along Bruce's line when you talked about venues. We have parking lots, church parking lots, high school parking lots, that if we were to, break up things that you could just have so many, at this place and so many maybe at the Y parking lot, or what we, at the health services center. I know the church at the end of my street here, they have a covered shelter and they're all set up with speakers and everything. For Sunday mornings, could we use something like that where they just sit in their cars? And I know we're going to have a hard time trying to, like you say, kind of control the numbers in that case. If we did something, we'd certainly have to kind of isolate it to just the locals, right? We're not going to be able to bring in, we can't advertise it far and wide, but that's it. I don't know. I don't know either. You hate to write it off, but I get the idea that, how do we control anything at this stage? But I'd be interested in some of Ben's ideas as far as, like I said, some of these smaller little things like, the pancake breakfast, or I'm not into yoga, but stuff like that. Could we just maybe put a list together and have a look at that at some point?
So I wonder, just listening to everyone, I think the reality is that obviously we're not going to have Applefest this year. We're really not going to have Applefest in any way, shape. We're not going to be having a parade. We're not going to be having the crowds. So I think that's the first thing, is that, do we need to officially cancel Applefest for this year? And I think we probably do, but we can vote on that. And the second question is, but do we want to get together again in August and see if we can just plan some music in a few different parks, and maybe a few other of these other ideas in and around that same weekend, maybe on that same weekend, that we can have some sort of celebrations going on in September, very low key things, no advertising, really just putting it on our Brighton pages and that sort of thing. Maybe just for locals. Yeah. Are we all going to have to be suited up, maybe doing a little bit of, that'll be everyone's job really, is to do the control of people in and out, and ourselves and every person we know will have to volunteer to do that. But so I think those are the two kind of things, decisions to make tonight. So should we put
I
a
like
motion?
the idea of
Yeah.
linking up with the events committee.
Sorry,
Hear me
Bruce.
okay? I like the idea of maybe linking up with events committee, and then maybe in August, when we know the numbers better, and then we'll have more manpower with the two committees, we can look at music in 2 or 3 spots, the yoga thing, I don't know, whatever else come up with. You got the Brighton Lions and Brighton Rotary, maybe they can have their food available at a couple of places.
Food fest or something. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I know I like that idea. Rather, like, I could do a porch thing, find 2 or 3 people host porch, but it's not really, it's better if there's more things going on than just that.
I think the stage would be good. It lends itself downtown. If you could even have to close off Veterans Way, you could probably get away with doing a pancake breakfast there.
Yeah.
The stage is there playing with local groups, that way you're not drawing a lot of out of town people. It'd be something more or less like we do Wednesday nights.
Yes.
The kind of crowd that way.
Yeah.
You got the DBIA. I mean, they can do a sidewalk sale or something. You don't have to get out of town vendors in.
No.
Like, you just keep it low key.
Yeah.
And I don't know what our insurance company would say.
Yeah, I don't know how you control.
You may want to start with them.
Yep. So, so do we want to, I guess that's the first question. Do we need to officially cancel Applefest as it is, and then come back and see if but with the idea we can plan something? Is that the right approach?
I think so.
Or do we just, people want to know, right?
Yeah.
We're getting former vendors and people just want to know what we're doing. Because whatever we do, we're not getting out of town vendors. We're not doing anything big. Like, I like the idea of the pancake breakfast. Historically, it's been done for years. People love to come for that breakfast. I like the idea of doing some of these other, little events, and even like the sidewalk sale. Maybe we can close the downtown so that there's lots of room for going, that main drag, there's lots of room for going back and forth for the locals to the different stores. There's room to distance. But nothing on the scale of Applefest. No parade.
No, does the King Club do the King Club do the pancake breakfast anyways, right? On that street.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I would recommend canceling it as far as the Applefest as
we know it.
It's canceled, and just say, I don't know, as numbers or whatever. Maybe something smaller, but the actual event's canceled.
Is that really what you're doing though, or are you just canceling the street fair part? and running and trying to run.
Well,
Well,
it'd
there's
be canceling the street fair, the car show, the children's village, the heavy,
parade.
everything. So you're pretty much, we're canceling like 98% of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if people want to know if we're going to be trying to have that sort of events, go ahead, Tom. You want to throw?
Yeah, and just kind of like absorbing everyone's
Yes.
thoughts and trying to put them into words here. So what about something like this, that the committee cancel Applefest 2021, whatever we call that, 2021 Applefest, and that the committee meet in August to reevaluate public health numbers in consideration of the possibility of hosting smaller events using the Applefest brand.
Does that work for everyone?
That
So
sounds
sort of-
pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Basically, no Applefest, but Applefest brand may host something if we're allowed.
If we're
Yep.
allowed. A small, maybe, can you add a small community event somehow in there so that it's very clear what we're doing, if we're going to do anything?
Right.
That's pretty bad. You don't want to get people's expectations up.
Yeah.
No.
If we
It
were,
doesn't take much. That's going to happen anyways.
And if we add like provincial health standards, we blame it on them, right? If it doesn't go, we'll
That's
blame
what
it on the
we do.
province. But I wonder if between now and then, Laura, if we can kind of maybe make a list of venues, like I know we talked about the park and King Edward Park, and like I mentioned, maybe church parking lots for something, or even Codrington, I mean, they've got their farmers market Sunday, but maybe they could have a music thing up there.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah.
I could try to
maybe
find,
something at Smithfield,
I could-
in the school
could-
parking lot or something.
Yep. Bruce, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, I know enough people with sound systems and so on. They could have 3 or 4, and that would spread people out. You have food and music at each venue, and then whatever else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That may be the way to go. Have satellite areas.
Yeah,
So maybe the
3 or
next
4
meeting invite
satellite areas
different
and-
hubs, people from different hubs.
And I think calling in, the community events, although our committee is dwindling as well, we have some on our committee who are, Jim and Jim know, Tom knows too. We have a skeletal committee left at this stage. Some have just kind of walked away because of the uncertainties of it all, but I'm sure we can pick up some manpower there and, get the DBIA. I'm sure they would be involved,
Mhm.
however they can with sponsorship, or, if we end up doing prizes or something, that we work with them as well. I'm sure
Oh,
we can put it together with some of these other groups. And like you say, we've got quite a few service clubs too. Maybe we can move them around as well. Put one in Codrington, put, 2 or 3 in different places in town. We, kind of share the well with all of those ones who are, the Legion has a parking lot. There's another one. They could put their pork on a bun or whatever they do and have some music there. I think we can find small blocks that we can use, but you're right. We need to wait to see whether or not, we can get more than 25 people outside.
Yeah, because both the Legion and Codrington they have certain nights, right, each week where they have a open mic.
Yeah.
Maybe do that type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They, they've got the outside space as well. So.
Tom, did you want to reread that motion and then we can get it on the floor and? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Is it called Applefest 2021, or is there a title for the traditional Applefest event?
The title would be Applefest and we can say 2021. That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So it would read that the committee cancel Applefest 2021 and that the committee meet in August to reevaluate public health guidelines in consideration of the possibility of hosting smaller events using the Applefest brand.
Everyone satisfied with that? I need
Add
a
local.
local.
Well,
Yeah.
we want to make sure that people know it's like, oh, we're having something. We're going to invite all our families in for the weekend because we always do that. So let's keep it local.
Localized events.
Something, whatever word works.
We can clarify that more later. This is really
Yeah.
just, we can make a decision. But,
How about for now, I'll say local community.
yeah.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
local community.
Yeah.
So I need a mover and a seconder. Sherry and Emily. Discussion, any more discussion on this? I think we're all kind of on the same page. Ben, if you can kind of keep throwing the ideas at us as well, like or for the next meeting of maybe some smaller things that we can do. We have our traditional things like the pancakes and that of course we all like to do, but there might be some new ideas we can throw in there as well, if that's the case. And everyone else kind of keep an eye out, ear out. Again, like every time we have a meeting, things can change drastically between now and our next meeting, for the better or for the worse, and we never know. So I think this is the best decision that we can make right now, the most responsible decision.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and yeah, any other thoughts or comments before we vote on it? No. So
I think you're right. I think you're right, Laura. I think, best we get people prepared that we're not going to have a big event and do with what we have when we have it.
Yeah, it's disappointing, right? We're all so,
I know.
We've all been
I mean,
quite
we're getting
involved.
close to 50 years, right? We're getting
I know.
close to 50 years.
Yeah.
And I'd hate to see it all slide away because of, But
Anyway, okay, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. And okay, so that's carried. Anything else we should talk about tonight? Anything anyone needs to add in at this point as far as Applefest? Tom, go ahead.
Just wanted to introduce everyone to Jessica Pauley. She's in attendance here, just doesn't have a camera. She's just basically following along right now, but she's the new employee. There she is.
Hi, Jessica.
New staff member in the clerk's office and helping out in economic development with Ben as well, I think. And she will be taking over as the committee clerk for this committee. So I imagine that next meeting in August, it will be Jessica instead of me.
Okay.
So I thought I should put that out there for everybody.
He has a lot of faith in me.
Yeah.
Could we talk about a date for the next meeting now? And
Sure.
'cause things are,
Want to choose
I'm actually
the
starting to
date?
get a few gigs and stuff. They're sporadic, but just so I keep it open.
Sure.
I'm away the first week of August. That's why I'm asking. So, but pretty well any other.
Is there a night that works for everyone? I know we have council meetings on the 16th and 18th of August. Do we want to do the week before or week after that? So maybe the 11th or the 25th. Those are Wednesday nights, if that works for people.
Yep, they work for
I'm
me.
gonna put out that I will go with whatever date you guys choose because I might be out of commission
Yes, you might.
at that part in the first part of August. I'm due the 17th, so we have no idea what's going on. So whatever date you guys pick, I'll go with. If I'm still here, I'll be on. If not,
Okay.
I'll catch up with you later.
Okay. Thank you,
I
Sherry.
I would think maybe earlier, Laura, like the 11th. I mean, if we leave it to the end, that gives us very little time
Yeah.
to
Yes. Yep. Good
really
idea.
advertise and throw anything together.
Do we want to go the 4th? Is that better, or do we want to keep it at the 11th?
I'm
Well,
away.
Bruce is-
Oh,
I'm
yes.
away the 4th.
Bruce is away. So the 11th?
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do it.
Yeah, I'm on holidays that week, but since it's video, I think it'll still be a video thing, right?
Yes. Wow, who knows?
Hard to say.
If not, we could probably Zoom you in anyways. We now have the ability to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who knows? I
If
don't
we
know
could
where
meet in
I'll be.
person,
Could be on a golf course near you, but
Emily, should
Yeah.
we put out an official invite to the events committee to join us on that date? Is that what we think we should do? So we can kind of join together to do something?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can we put that in our minutes as well, that we're going to do that? And Emily, if you can pass that to the events. committee.
I'll send the chair an email tonight. And Tom, are you still clerking for, I don't know when we meet. I don't know if we even have a meeting scheduled.
There's one scheduled for August. I think it's, hold on a second. I think anyway. I feel like there
There
was,
is?
I thought I saw something, yeah, I was looking through.
Tom, I think it was September actually for the community events committee.
Is it?
Yeah, September is
Yeah.
the next date for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think we're kind of just waiting. The next thing will be the Santa Claus parade.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think we were meeting after Canada Day, so that might be right.
so if we
I'll
can
send,
officially
I'll
invite
send
them-
I'll send them an email and then, say, beware, we might have you at our August meeting. And like I said, there might be 3 or 4, there's very few, but I'll also send the message along to the DBIA. We've got
And
some
any
pretty
of
good,
them can attend. So for Tom and for Jessica then, so that August meeting, we actually want to invite the events committee, so include them on Zoom and possibly some DBIA members as well. Emily, you can let
Yeah.
them know.
yeah, we've got some that are kind of, they're not all maybe in their stores, that we could maybe get 1 or 2,
In the evening.
kind of from the periphery to help volunteer at stuff, or
And
offer some suggestions as well.
we may have to have like a hybrid meeting, whether it's some in person and some zooming in, possibly. But if we're going to do something, I think we just need to work together to pull something off, because it's going to require lots of volunteers to kind of manage the daily, ins and outs of people. So that work for everyone?
Should we let the service clubs know too? Or should we wait till August? I mean,
I think we should wait till August, because we still have to make that decision as well at that time. And then we're just all going to have to hit the ground running. To
Yeah.
get it done.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
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 Okay. That's all we have on the agenda. I think we've covered off on everything. Yeah. Okay. So I guess we can adjourn the meeting. It's 6:35.